Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Ryan, he's Mike. It's Eggs. This is eggs. This is eggs. This is eggs.
Get all the eggs. Get all the eggs.
How's it going?
Good. We're back with another episode of the show. Broadcasting live from a new upgraded studio.
Yeah, what is it? The
we're calling
C1?
this one CIS Studios or CI Studios. We can't decide yet. It's the Comfort Inn and Suites. We've upgraded from Studio 6. We're in way less danger of being stabbed. And
exactly. We last time we went to get some food, and I didn't want to leave anything in the hotel room because I thought we'd come back and have everything stolen. So
yeah, there's a lot less lurkers at this hotel. People creeping around.
No drug deals going on in the parking lot. I think we're okay.
Yeah, no, this is an upscale place. They do their drug deals inside.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, today we're going to kind of get the show kicked off kind of quick. We've got a guest today. So everybody's become familiar with our dear Spaniard Borja.
Hey, hello. It's a very special episode for me.
That's right. Who's joining us today with an extended edition of the Borja Factor. Today, he's brought with him his brother, Alvaro, who's here from Valencia, Spain. He's living in Valencia now. Alvaro is he went to college here in the States.
In New York, right?
No, in Indiana.
Indiana.
College in Indiana.
Yeah, he's worked with Major League Soccer. He now works in primarily in professional sports in Europe, but he's actually out here looking at a player of his from Seattle that's playing here in Salt Lake City today. So we've got a big match today between Salt Lake City, Real Salt Lake, and the Seattle Sounders in Major League Soccer. So he's out here to see his player and his brother.
Mainly the player.
And his host family.
Who cares about the brother?
Yeah, it's important people. So anyway, Alvaro is an agent. He basically scouts soccer players, recruits them, tries to find them contracts, things like that, and we'll let him explain the whole gig. But anyway, without any further ado, he's only got about 30 minutes, so we're going to talk fast. Here's Alvaro.
Hello.
Hey.
Alvaro, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Of course.
Thank you for coming and doing it. I know you don't have very much time and your schedule's real busy.
I enjoy it. Good.
Good.
Yeah, well, back in Spain, Alvaro has been on television and radio and all those things, so he's a professional. He has no problem doing this. So we, however, are not professionals, so that will bear out. Yeah. No, Borja's pro now too.
We're working on it. We're getting there.
Yeah, I say we're doing it professionally. Whether we're good at it or not is a different discussion, but we're professionals.
Yeah, well, we got 4 mics in the studio today.
No, 5 mics.
Oh, you're right.
So anyway, let's get going. So Alvaro got here Thursday night late. He's just here for the weekend. Alvaro, before we get into all the why you're here, let's talk about how you got here. So going back, you went to college in Indiana.
Yes, I spent my senior year of college at Butler University in Indianapolis. And after I finished, I had to do an internship, and I contacted Major League Soccer, so they gave me the chance to be an intern there for 6 months.
And you've always been like a soccer guy, right? I mean,
yeah.
Super fan and
super
player,
fan,
right?
trying to playing, watching it all the time with friends, with family, always.
Now, of course, anybody who knows, sorry, Mike, I keep cutting you
I
off.
know, I just can't get a word in edgewise here.
Who knows anything about Spain, so soccer is more or less the national sport in Spain.
It's a religion.
Yeah, it's a
It's
really
the
big
real
deal
football.
Yeah, football, with the accent on the ut. So of course, like most Spanish kids, Alvaro grew up playing, but I think he was maybe a little better than his brother.
I mean, I don't know if he was better, but my father thought that he was better. So my father took him to the Atlético de Madrid trials and Real Madrid trials. So he tried to play for Real Madrid first. He couldn't make it. So then he tried.
It was very difficult because we were not living in Madrid.
Yeah, of course.
We were living far. So Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid pick boys from all over the country. So it's very difficult. I could have played there for them if we lived in Madrid. But
for Atlético de Madrid, right?
Yeah, and for Real Madrid too, even. But
How,
yeah, it was
Yeah.
really difficult not living in Madrid.
I have to admit that he was better. He was like a player with class, and I was more like a striker. So just my
Scoring goals is the most important. Anyway.
that's the only thing I know how to do. But he knew how to pass the ball, assist the teammate,
and
and
you just
score
like to
goals
take
too.
people out, just sweep the leg.
He was
right?
skillful. I have to admit that. But maybe he preferred to study rather than playing soccer. I think.
No, but anyway, soccer has opened me every door. Always in every place I lived, I've always played soccer with people, with random games, and that's how I've met a lot of people, a lot of friends in Indianapolis, in New York, in Madrid, in Valencia, wherever there is I've lived. I've played soccer, and that's opened me always a lot of doors and gave me the chance to meet a lot of people.
And to
Yes.
meet- yeah.
And
if-
so you mentioned while you were going to school in Indianapolis, you were doing an internship for Major League Soccer. What did you do for them?
Well, I worked in the marketing and communications department in the Hispanic side of Major League Soccer, with all the Hispanic media in South America, in Central America, with the teams coming to tours in the US, and also with the Mexican national team.
And that's your degrees in advertising, right?
Yeah, advertising, marketing, public relations. Yeah.
Well, and did you do any other type of work before this, or have you always worked in sports?
I've always worked in sports.
Okay. So now, shoot, what was I going to say? I'm losing it. So now he's working for a company. I think they're called You First Sports, right?
Correct.
And now he's working as an agent. So he's got players in the NBA. Well, his agency has got players in the NBA. They've got players in Major League Soccer, also in La Liga. Do they play elsewhere?
Yes, we have players, soccer players all over the world.
Okay.
So
Right
this
now,
trip
yeah.
you're visiting someone for the Sounders, and then you're flying
Yes.
off tomorrow and taking care of someone for the Timbers.
Yes, we have
In
players in
Portland.
the Sounders, in the Timbers, and in the Chicago Fire. I will be there on Thursday.
Oh, okay.
too.
And so can you talk at all about that? Like, you know, how do you, I mean, for me, like I love soccer, but I don't know that much about like the backstory of it. Like,
You were saying that there's like essentially 5 things that you kind of focus on with.
Yes, a sports agent in soccer or practically in any other sports have 5 main tasks, and we call them, well, the first one would be scouting, or knowing about players, checking about players, who you like, who you know. And number 2 of the process is probably the most difficult and the most important, which is recruiting, making those players who you know, making them your clients, convincing them to
Work with you.
to
come to
hire
your
us.
agency over another.
Yes. Number 3 would be once you recruit that player, well, to give them a good service, to keep in touch with him very often, to meet him, to visit him, to be very, very close to him in any aspect. And number 4 would be to deal with the clubs, to manage all the contracts. That's very, very important for the players, the most important thing we do for them. And number 5, and last but not least, would be to manage all the agent fees that we get from either the clubs or the players, because in the
Gotta
end
get
we do it for business, of course.
Yeah. Well, and so maybe it's just me. I guess I've always had a simplified view of this. I just assumed the agents just took a percentage and that was kind of that.
Yeah.
How does it work? How do you guys get paid by clubs or by whomever? Like, do clubs use agencies to recruit players, or how does it work?
Well, actually, it's a strange system, because our clients are the players, but usually it's the clubs that pay you the agent fees, because it's a competition between clubs also, and if you as an agent, you are dealing with 2 clubs and one is paying the agent fee but the other one is not paying it, so it's the player who has to pay for it, then the offer of the club which is paying for the agent fee is a better offer. So in the end, pretty much all over the world, you negotiate the agent fees with the clubs. and you
Okay.
get a percentage of the total salary that the player gets, usually at 10%.
Okay. Yeah.
Except in Mexico, that the agent fees are always paid by the players. They are never paid by the clubs.
So he actually has to cut a check directly to the.
It just comes out of
Yeah.
his salary. Or his
Yes,
fee.
it comes out of his salary because in Mexico the clubs are owned by the most powerful companies in Mexico, and the players, the difference, the class difference between the owners and the players is so big that they don't treat the players very well. So they just don't care about their salaries or their agent fees. They make them pay.
So do you have clients in Mexico? Obviously.
Yes. We have clients in Mexico, and they are used to paying the agent
It's
fees.
just the system there.
It's just the system there because, but it has also a social connotation.
I think that you first sports is very important in Mexico, right? You have headquarters
Yes.
there.
We have our own soccer office there, and they represent 4 or 5 national team players.
That's
The
neat.
captain of the national
The captain
team,
Andres
actually.
Guardado, which
you
MLS
recruit-
have always been trying to sign him. We represent him.
That's awesome.
Shout out to
Do you
Mexico.
recruit from Mexico a lot, or
No. In order to recruit players, you have to be in that territory very, very often, in order to convince the player to meet them often. So
Yeah, and you mentioned that you guys have offices all over the place.
yeah.
right?
So the recruiting there is managed by my colleagues in
Mexico.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you noticed a significant difference in the way the business is done between like Major League Soccer, which is sort of a up and coming program or up and coming league, relative to some of these older leagues like Premier League or La Liga? Like, is there a difference in the way that Americans do business versus like maybe Europeans, for example?
Yes, it's different because MLS has its own rules in terms of adapting or being close to the American culture. They have salary cap, they have a slightly different transfer system. They can cut the player's contract. That in
anytime?
Europe, that's normal in NBA or in NFL, but it's not common in European football. But they do it. MLS teams have a draft. MLS teams have different rules regarding the rosters and the players. So when you deal with MLS teams, you have to know some special things about how things work here.
So you were saying that one of the problems you run into a lot is scheduling, because the season over there ends at a different time than the season starts here. So to get a player to play in America versus in Spain, they have to either get signed in an off season or something like that. Have you ever lost any deals because of that, or is it like?
Yeah, we've lost many deals because of that. Because in European leagues, mostly all over the world, the season starts in July and ends in June. So the contracts end in June. But what happens in MLS, in other leagues too, like in Japan, for example, is that league runs January to December. So most of the MLS teams make their signings for January, February, when the league starts here. But we are in Europe at that time. We are in the middle of the season. So either they sign a player who has to leave his club in the middle of the season, which is difficult, or either they sign a player in the summer, which, it's when the players can move easily in Europe, but it's the middle of the
by
season
summer,
here.
Yeah, it's the middle of the season.
So it's not easy to bring a player here in MLS right in the middle of the season, especially if it's an important player.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, and what about the money? Like, so you mentioned salary caps. Does that make it, like, I don't know for sure, like in Spain and in Europe, I mean, do they have salary caps over there? Can they just, I mean, because you see some of these crazy salaries. Seems like if they had a cap, it would be really hard to stay under that.
Well, there is a cap, but there is a financial fair play controlled by FIFA or by UEFA. But there is not a salary cap like in MLS. So salaries in MLS are getting better. Mm-hmm. Every 3-4 years, the salaries get better because the TV deals and the exposure gets better.
Well, they're getting a lot of, the Sounders, for example, they haven't been around for that long, and they went from like a zero following to huge in essentially 2 or 3 years. And so I assume that, as ticket sales go up and the popularity of the sport goes up, the salaries will probably go up with it, right?
Yes, but compared to Europe, except for the DPs, the rest of the players, the average income is not that much.
Yeah. So does that make it difficult then to either entice, like, let's say, a Spanish player to bring them to the United States, because even maybe the entry-level salary or maybe a middle salary in Europe would be so much higher than a middle salary here in the States?
Yeah.
So it makes it sort of difficult to bring players over here.
Yeah, because a Spanish player or a European player, they go abroad, okay, for a new professional experience, but also to improve their salaries. And sometimes we speak with MLS clubs, and in order to bring a player here, they are not going to improve their salaries. So it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Why come into MLS if you're not getting a better salary than in Spain?
Yeah, and as far as like a player is concerned, does it do a European player, somebody who might play in La Liga or in Premier League or something, could it be actually harmful to them if they came here, accepted less money, or maybe couldn't make as much money here in the States, and then they tried to go back to La Liga or something? Does it make their value maybe lower?
Yes.
So I guess maybe some players would hold out coming to Major League Soccer so that they could, at least try in Europe first before they decide they can't make that kind of money or something.
Of course. I mean, MLS level is growing, is improving, of course, but it's not the level of Premier League or Spanish First Division. So a player knows that when they come here, their comeback to their return to Spain's top league will be much, much harder, of course.
Have you seen very many instances where they come here and it benefits them to where they go back and they're more famous or a better player?
An opportunity to be a star here when they would have just sat on the bench in Spain, for example?
Not yet. We are not at that point yet.
Okay.
But we will be.
Actually, now there is a significant case with David Villa because he made the national team this season and he's playing for New York.
Yeah, and so for people who don't know David Villa, he's a famous Spanish player. He was the champion of the Spanish national team for a while.
One of the best soccer players that we have had in history. I mean, he was amazing with the national teams, very important players in the World Cup and European Cup. Also, he played for Barcelona, Atlético de Madrid and Zaragoza, a lot of important teams in Spain. But the thing is that he came to the USA, to the MLS. It was kind of a retirement, but now he is playing so good here that the national team called him to play again.
Yeah, so maybe like Alvaro saying, we're getting there. The level here is improving. But it's David Villa also.
But it's an example of the level of the league is going up, and that's the reason maybe that Schweinsteiger, Pirlo, a lot of players coming to the MLS and improving the league. Even Jovinko, that is not old, or Giovanni Dos Santos.
And his brother Jonathan, who was playing at a very good level. MLS is improving. For example, with this case of David Villa, it was very significant to MLS. But okay, David Villa went, he played for 10 minutes, he got injured, and then the second game he didn't play for Spain. So there in Spain, it was a big controversy. Lots of people were criticizing the national coach, asking him, why did you call him just for one game? I mean, you could have called up a younger player in Spain that you can develop, because David Villa was out for the national team already for 3 years and he will not develop anymore. So it was a controversy, but it shows that MLS level is improving. When I worked in MLS in 2007, back when David Beckham signed for the Galaxy, it was a historic point. But 10 years later, you can see that MLS has improved a lot.
Yeah, well, and like really for me, I've only really been following MLS maybe 5 years, and I can see a lot of growth just in the 5 years we've been coming. The level of the players is getting higher all the time. Even though we are getting some guys going into retirement, the Gerard and Pirlo and some of these other guys, those are still great names to help in the USA. And for people who are soccer fans, in terms of selling tickets and things like that, having these players on these teams is definitely helping, because at least for the longest time, outside of just people who are really into soccer, who would know who the star player in the U.S. was, but now we've got stars, we have some Michael Jordans, and I think that's really important to elevating the sport in general.
Yeah, and the American national team is doing good every World Cup. Is the women national team is amazing. So I think that soccer is doing well.
Yeah, it's definitely getting better. I've mentioned this before and to some other people, but like this year, well, not this year, but at the last World Cup in Brazil, that was the first time I'd really seen soccer advertised like en masse in the United States. There've been plenty of other World Cups, and maybe Coca-Cola runs a ad campaign or something for World Cup, but this time everybody had something. Everybody was watching. Everybody was, all the different food brands and sports brands, and everybody were doing things for the World Cup. And it was unique. I'd never seen it before.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I don't really follow soccer that much.
Although you followed enough to have a Sounders.
I just did that to mess with you. Like, I'm from Seattle, and Ryan's a big Real Salt Lake fan.
Well,
he's got season
He's coming
tickets
to the game today on one of our tickets. Actually, maybe one of Alvaro's tickets. That he's getting as an agent.
I had an old Sounders jersey that I found at Goodwill for $5, and so I bought it just because it was $5. And lo and behold, I get a chance to wear it at a Sounders game.
Yeah, while he's sitting in our season seats in our corner at the stadium. We'll send him to the upper rafter seating some of the Seattle fans.
If the GM of Real Salt Lake sees that with one of the tickets he gave me, I invited a Seattle Sounders fan, maybe I don't get invited here anymore.
Yeah, no. Well, and that's actually why Alvaro's got to get out of here on time, is he's got a meeting with the GM of Real Salt Lake today to just, talk a little business, meet each other, get to know each other, start developing relationships for future contacts. So, but you mentioned that you have a relationship, or a current Real Salt Lake player?
Well, I know Marcelo Silva, and I know Stephen Sunday. I know Stephen Sunday was one of our clients.
Oh, okay.
Before in
and both
Europe.
of them are great players now. They're a big part of the Real Salt Lake team.
Mm-hmm.
And then today, or the big reason you're here is for a Seattle player. Who's he?
Victor Rodriguez from Spain. We brought him a month and a half ago from La Liga to Seattle Sounders. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, and Seattle is one of those clubs that actually has the money to do some of this. They're one of the bigger clubs in the States, and so they can.
They brought him as a designated player.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Now, so maybe we should have asked about this earlier, but I wanted to. Have you taken players from the United States back to Spain or any other league, or do you really because you first, I guess, is a Spanish company, right?
Yeah.
So is your focus to bring Spanish players and put them in professional leagues throughout, versus maybe bringing players to Spain?
Our focus is to bring Spanish players abroad. Why? One first main idea is because for us the easiest thing is to recruit Spanish players, not to recruit foreign players who already have other agents. And second, the Spanish players are very fashionable. Right? We won the World Cup in 2010. We have won two Euro Cups, 2008, 2012. So the technical level of the Spanish players is very, very high. And there has been a change in their mentalities. 10 years ago, no Spanish players were really leaving Spain to play in other leagues, just exceptional cases. And right now, Spanish players want to play abroad. And so there are players all over the world. So if you take those two ideas together, our focus has to be to bring more Spanish players abroad.
Yeah, that's why you have players and you have trips to Greece and Bulgaria.
Yes, I think there's not an official ranking, but I always say that we are the agency with more Spanish players abroad. We have 20 this year.
Yeah, and you said you've got NBA players also and Major League Soccer players, right?
Yeah, but for example, we have 3 players in the US, 2 players in Thailand, 2 players in Greece, 3 players in Cyprus, of course, players in England, in Italy, in closer European countries. But we bring players all over the place.
You have one in France that is the sensation right now.
One a very, very important player in France, Mariano Diaz, who was at Real Madrid last year. So we are, of course, we deal more with the Spanish clubs because we are there, but we are very focused on bringing Spanish players abroad, and that's something that I personally really like a lot.
So I didn't realize that Spain had a decent kind of basketball group. Like you were saying earlier that, compared to obviously the NBA in the U.S. is kind of the basketball pinnacle, but Spain's right there close behind.
Yeah, I think Spanish basketball league is the best league outside of NBA. Of course, there's no comparison between NBA and any other league in the world. We are far behind. All of our best players, when they have the chance, they go drafted and
go to the NBA.
And they go to the NBA. We have now, for this season, we might have around 35. The most known players are, Willy Hernan Gomez, he plays for the Knicks. Kristaps Porzingis, he plays for the Knicks too. Serge Ibaka, he plays for the Raptors. Kyle Lowry, he plays for the Raptors too. So we are growing step by step. In
do you work at all
NBA.
with the NBA players at all, or are you strictly soccer?
No, I do strictly soccer. I know personally Willy Hernan Gomez because he's been in the office sometimes, because he's friends with one of my soccer players. They were in the same city 3 years ago. And I know Ibaka also because he's been in the office twice when I was there. But no, we know their agents are our colleagues, and we help each other if we need something. But no, we only deal football and basketball are different departments.
Okay. Well, and so we're running out of time here, but one of the things I wanted to ask you about is Borja let me in on a little kind of funny story or an interesting fact about you guys have made the most inexpensive soccer trade ever. Yeah. Something to do with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is that in Spain, that's something only in Spanish law. A player with a contract, under contract, in order to sign for another team, there is a price marked. So we reached. We had a player in Numancia, second division team. That player, Cedric Magwati, has played for Columbus Crew just 2 years ago.
In the MLS.
So okay, we reached an agreement with the club. Okay, to extend his contract, they wanted to extend his contract, and we said, okay, we agreed to extend his contract, but if a team in first division comes to sign him before the summer, you let him go for free. And they said, okay, but if you stick to the law, you cannot let him go for free. You have to put a price. So we put a price of €1. So okay, then Real Betis came to sign him, and Real Betis had to pay €1 for him. So we went to the league
Steep
office
price.
to pay €1 and plus the tax. It was €1.21. So everyone said that this player had the same cost as a white coffee. So,
Actually, you have to pay that money. I mean, they really had to pay the money. It's
yes,
not
I was in the office and.
Nope, she unplug it.
So they had to pay like the €1.20.
€1.21.
It was not like okay
with the coins there.
Oh, how
yeah,
funny.
with
And
change.
it was funny news there in Spain because it was something strange.
Of course, yeah, no, that's awesome. All right, and then one other note here, and Borja maybe fill it in, but you have a note here about Zaragoza FC.
Yeah, I know. I remember that one because it was Christmas. We spent Christmas together most of the times because my parents are never in Palencia at that time. So I remember that we were having lunch and we saw on the news that Zaragoza soccer team, they needed a coach. So my brother, even in Christmas, he started working and say, okay, I think that I can make this deal and trade a coach for this team.
Yeah, so we started talking. It was 31st December, and on 31st December, on the very last day of the year, we closed the deal. It was we were like rushing on New Year's Eve. Everything was closed, and okay, Zaragoza were doing really bad. They were like bottom of the league, so the deal was okay. You pay him a normal salary, but in case the team stays in first division, you double him the salary or the bonus. And in the end, they made it.
Oh,
They
that's
stayed
awesome.
in first
It was a
division, so-
successful trade. I remember
Yeah.
that, and it's one of the most special things I ever seen. And I feel proud of my brother for doing that because I felt part of that because we were together. He was
You were
just
there for
he
the
and me.
holidays, and it just kind of worked out, so
Yeah.
you were part of it too.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he did all the job, but I was there with him, you know.
All right. Well, Alvaro's Uber is 2 minutes away. So let me ask one last question before he gets out of here. It's about future projects. So recently you've just moved to Valencia. What do you see as the future? Or is your future in working as an agent? Do you want to move into management at some point? Where what's next for
No,
Alvaro?
I mean, I think I work for a really, really good company. I've been there for 9 years already, and the future is to keep growing there. I mean, the way to grow is to have better players and to do better deals with better clubs. And I would really like to keep doing business with MLS clubs because I think MLS league will grow, and it's even if it's difficult to work with them because of the schedule that we said, because of the rules, it's very good to work with them because their structure and their organization is great. It's very, very professional. They pay everything on time. They help with all the logistics. Players are treated really, really well. I mean, for example, when Cedric signed for the crew, the very first day he arrived in the airport, there was a guy, an assistant of the crew, of the Columbus crew, in the airport. These are the keys of your car. These are the keys of your apartment near the training center. This is a cell phone, a mobile phone with all the contacts of the club registered in them. This is all the paperwork you need to fill in for the visa, for everything. I mean, that was amazing. The structure and the organization here with the clubs
Just makes it so much easier for the players.
Yeah, it's great, and for the agents too, with all the paperwork and with all the process. So I would really like to keep bringing players to MLS.
So Real Salt Lake is starting a new academy, right? So if you need an agent, and you need someone to trade you from America to Spain, this is your man.
Yeah, we know a guy, and maybe that relationship will start tonight in 45 minutes with a meeting. So with that, I've got to walk Alvaro out to the car. So thanks so much, Alvaro Navazo, Borja Factor's older brother. And we're grateful to have you, and thanks for doing the show.
Yeah, thanks for taking the half hour.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure. Donde haya que estar.
A ver, los que trabajan en Sevilla no trabajan en Madrid.
Okay, so
Yes,
those
sí.
sultry sounds you're hearing right now are the Navazo brothers. We're back. We thought we were done, but we decided to come back for a little late night jam. We just got back. We went to the RSL match. We sat in the rain.
I got to
2
say,
hours.
You said it.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
we
was
sat in the rain.
no bueno.
Well, so it was a fantastic match. First of all, I mean, of course, the likely winners were the winners, and we were always happy to see RSL trump the Sounders. However, Mike, being a Seattle-based DJ, wore his Sounders scarf, which was
For good luck.
Yeah, it was bad class, and it also brought with it a lot of rain.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So-
That was
you could have
100%.
brought your Sanders poncho.
So 3 of us sat out in the rain, and we posted a picture on Instagram, or will post a picture on Instagram. You'll be able to see some of the fun.
Well, I did a solid for Tia. I took the jersey off at least. I wore the scarf underneath my jacket.
It's true.
And I wore a Real jacket. So
Yeah, and
thank you for that, by the way. That saved my ass.
yeah.
If I didn't have that, I would have been hating life.
So, but Borja and Alvaro here are Spaniard to the core, and went and stole seats somewhere where it was not raining, so that they could avoid the torrential downpour that the rest of us.
Well,
were
you would
sitting
think that they would have ponchos there for sale or something that you couldn't buy any. So
We asked for ponchos, but they told us no.
Yeah.
Well, they wanted to sell their $40 all-weather blankets,
And they did.
and they sold out. They didn't have any left. So.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, so the match was great. The weather was shit, but we had a good time, and memories were made. So it'll be a good time. Also, one step closer to playoffs for us. And hopefully someone else will step on Seattle's neck next week, and we'll continue to advance.
No offense to all my friends in Seattle.
Well, no offense to Alvaro here, who has a player on their team.
Yeah.
You can call him Alvaro or Borja's brother.
Borja's brother.
Also known as Borja's brother.
Well, I was sort of liking the Alvaro factor. I was thinking,
Alvaro factor.
I think we found a new replacement for you.
Alvaro Factor is just okay if he talks about leggings. But for the rest of the things, it's my factor.
So anyway, but Alvaro's player, what's the name? Victor Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Played tonight for Seattle. He looked great. Probably one of the stronger players.
For me, today, the best player at Seattle, taking into account that they didn't score, and he's an attacking player.
Well, yeah, I mean, but they're playing RSL, so of course they didn't score.
Maybe Lodeiro is
Yeah.
like the star of the team, right? But Victor
Too
is
slow.
Yeah.
Victor is better.
Yeah. So anyway, Victor looked good, and so that's good news for Alvaro and all the folks over at U First. But we did not stick around after the game to meet players or any of that good stuff because the weather was so bad. We had to get out of there.
Are you having a hard time hearing me?
No.
Oh.
Everything's okay here.
Borja's making faces
Yeah,
and gestures.
I'm trying to read sign language here.
Yeah, the problem is all the sign language is in Spanish too.
Yeah.
I'm doing the catcher thing in baseball.
Oh.
You don't understand.
No,
You
yeah.
played baseball in high school, right?
No, I played baseball in like preschool. Once I graduated from T-ball, I was out of it. So
The softball, maybe softball.
I did play softball for a little bit.
Lacrosse.
So anyway,
What'd you think of the game?
Well, I think
First of all, is it match? Did I just ruin that?
Yeah,
It
it's
can't
a
be called.
match.
Sorry. What'd you think of the match?
no, game is fine. Game is also good.
Okay.
Well, I think it was difficult because of the rain. When it rains so heavily for the players, it's really wind and rain are very tough for the players to control the ball.
Well, I was gonna say ball control's got to be really hard to
measure all the passes on and all the movements. So taking that into consideration, I think the overall technical level was good. A bit slow in my opinion, and when all these difficulties come, you can see that their technical level is not as high as in Europe usually. But I like the game. Both teams have many chances, and Real Salt Lake in the second half were better, were more accurate, so they deserve to win.
Well, I got to say that, the Sounders, they travel well. Like, I didn't expect them to be as loud as they were or have that many, the supporter section was loud the whole time. Like, I was impressed, actually.
and like I was telling Mike, so here in Salt Lake City, we're pretty central to most of the West Coast teams. So we have a really good supporter presence that comes from LA, Portland, and Seattle. All three of them bring a pretty good supporter section here. So it's kind of fun because, they do bring a different energy to the game. They also make our supporters kind of hulk up. And so you can hear in our stadium, you hear the drums and everything going. But the Seattle guys are out of control. Same with the Portland ones. Both of them are just incredible supporter groups in general. I mean, if you ever watch a Sounders game or something in Seattle, it's mania.
Well, that's
those guys
insane.
are
They
crazy.
do a whole march. Like, they start out before the stadium and they come in with drums and screaming and all
the
sorts of
Seattle
stuff.
guys actually do that here also.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they start the march. I mean, it's not near as far, but they do like a little march and everything together, and then they come to the game. Yeah, it's crazy. And the Portland fans here are cool too. Luckily, we have a pretty good environment, so it's safe to come and joke around and come and have fun with your supporter group. There is a.
I don't like how the supporter group had covered seats, but we didn't.
Yeah,
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, especially because it was our supporter group. The RSL supporters are standing out in the rain,
Yeah.
but the away team supporter
They
group,
put them up in a corner, but it actually helped them out.
yeah, it feels like they're being
Yeah.
punished because they're sitting up in the cheap
Nosebleeds.
seats. But yeah, no, it was a better spot tonight for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, for a game that was not in the playoffs with this weather, I think there was a very, very good crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I mean, normally when the weather's kind of garbage like this, we don't turn out like that. But I think a couple things. I think RSL is playing better than they have all season. I mean, the last 4 or 5 games have been really good, and I also think it's just we're getting near playoffs. We're kind of like RSL is sort of like right at the bottom of the list to get into playoffs. So every game is important now, and I think that's helping draw more people. So anyway, so it's been pretty cool. Now, so you guys are both Borja and Alvaro are soccer aficionados. They've been watching soccer a long time, things like that. And of course, MLS isn't La Liga. But in general, I mean, what did you think of the play? What did you think of all that stuff? I mean, in my opinion, generally MLS, especially like with the ball control, it's a little more sloppy. It's maybe not as precise as it is in Europe.
And I was sitting here thinking that they were awesome. I'm watching them play. I'm like, dude, how do they do that?
Well, today they were playing in a slushy mess. So so maybe it's an exception. But if you watch Premier League soccer, for example, those guys will kick the ball from one foot to the other foot, and it's like perfect. They just run with it. And here, we spend a lot of time settling the ball. And so, but in general, I mean, as a Spanish guy who watches a lot of soccer, I mean, what do you think? How was it?
Well, I think the overall technical level was good. Maybe the players who make the difference are for example, today Savarino, Latino player, Hispanic player,
Yeah,
Victor
Venezuela.
Rodriguez, coming from Spain. That the American, the local home ground player makes the difference because of the physique,
Yeah.
because of the strength and because they are more powerful. But I think that overall the level is good, and they can compete very well. They can make the league very competitive, and I saw that they try to always to play offensive and to create goal chances, which is better for everyone and for the fans too. And of course, I mean, when it gets to play against Mexican teams or other South American teams, it's hard, but the level keeps growing every year. So I think MLS has a good future.
Yeah, in my opinion, we have seen today some very good details. 2 in particular. One was a very good save from the Real Salt Lake keeper.
Yeah, from
It was an amazing save.
Nick Romando, yeah. Oof.
You remember that because
the little one hand thing.
yeah, when the game was 2-0, but at that moment of the game, 1 goal can change the game for
Yeah.
sure. So
Well, and as an RSL fan, I can tell you it wouldn't have been the first time we lost a game in like the 94th minute. So
yeah,
that happens every now and then. So for
another
me,
another important detail that we have seen today was in the Real Salt Lake second goal. There is a big mistake in the defense of Seattle. It's hard to see that kind of mistakes in Europe. I mean, of course they can make mistakes, but that one in particular was pretty bad. I mean, it's a serious mistake for a good team as Seattle.
Well-
I mean, it's just a mistake, and everyone can make a mistake.
yeah. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, Real Salt Lake Stadium is called Rio Tinto. And we were talking about it a little earlier. Alvaro actually knows where the Rio Tinto name comes from. Here in Utah, it's a mining company that owns it called Rio Tinto Kennecott, and they I guess they're the ones that have their name on it. So it's Rio Tinto
They
Stadium.
dig for salt.
Yeah, well, I don't know what they dig for. They dig up in the mountains.
I don't know. I just Salt Lake.
No, the Morton Salt guys own the lake. But the Kennecott guys are over here mining something.
Yeah.
So, but Alvaro, what's the scoop on Rio Tinto?
Well, the thing is that in the south of Spain, in the southwest, in the region of Huelva, some English factories started to to work in the mines there, and that's how they brought football or soccer to Spain. Those English guys who were working there brought the game that they had just created in England. So the first professional soccer team in Spain comes from that region, southwest of Spain. So these mines there starting contaminating the main river in the area. So the water actually was turning red. So Rio Tinto means red river.
Huh.
So the name comes from the river that all those mining companies there were contaminating, and so that region is typical because of the first professional soccer team in Spain, and also because of the mines of Rio Tinto, which means red river.
Huh.
So this company here in the States, Rio Tinto, is a mining company. They named it because of the factories back in the 19th century in Spain. And it's funny that they sponsored a soccer team.
Yeah.
I love this podcast because you can learn. It's not only entertainment. You can learn too.
Well, sometimes I just get tired of entertaining all the time. We do such
But
a good job.
I guess
and provide such a service entertaining.
if you ask all the fans in the stadium, why the stadium is called Rio Tinto,
They probably wouldn't even know.
Well, it's
Yeah.
interesting. Like, I understood literally the translation. I have enough Spanish to understand what it meant, but I didn't understand. I didn't know any of the story behind it. I knew of the mining company here, but I didn't know any of the backstory. So
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah, really interesting. So cool. So now during the day, so my oldest son plays American football. We went out to a football game, but during the day, when Mike got down here, he, Borja and Alvaro decided to take a little trip into the city, do a little sightseeing because Alvaro is leaving tomorrow. So they were cruising downtown, and I think you guys had kind of a funny meeting at the temple.
Yeah, we took him down to Temple Square to show him what's going on down there.
Yeah, so anybody unfamiliar with Salt Lake City, obviously this is the home of the LDS Church, the Mormon Church, and they've got a massive temple downtown that's
where the magic
kind of
happens.
Yeah,
right?
it's kind of a hot spot. So
Well, you guys met a few
a couple.
missionaries, right?
Actually, they were three, but one of them was the grandmother, so we can just say two.
Yeah, well, they tried to ask him out for drinks, and it doesn't work so well.
they were not interested.
You want
No,
coffee?
we were just there. We wanted to get a picture, but of us two together. So they were just taking the picture. So I offered myself to take them a picture of their together. So in the end, we got the picture with the girls and us together, and then also by ourselves. So is it when you're foreign and you start speaking, it's very simple to start a conversation. Oh, where are you guys from? Oh, we're from Spain. Oh, we are from Montana. Yeah, we came
they were
here
the
to
foreigners.
visit.
Yeah, they saw it as a picture of their parents too.
Yeah, and of the backyard with all the snow and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I drop him off and say, just walk through the block. I'll be on the other side. 30 minutes later.
I told them to make us more interesting. Yeah, we have a driver waiting for us. And they say,
We gotta
really?
Yeah, limo's around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Kia.
But I will always bring with me the memories of this Montana girls are pretty and they are nice, they are
Mormon?
funny.
Yeah.
But we will never
You'll never
ever know
What could have happened?
Yeah.
Well, and you'll never know what it's like to have coffee with them, or have a beer or something.
Yeah, it was fun because I asked Mark, so if I tell them let's go for beers, what would they say? And Mark said no. They would say no, we cannot get beers. Like, okay, well, just a coffee. And Mark said no, coffee either. It's like, come on.
Who's Mark?
Okay, I will.
It's Mike.
Yeah, remember the Mike joke?
Yeah,
So with my
He's Spanish. Forgive him. It's late.
it's all good. So,
Borja's losing it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because when he drives, it's Mark the chauffeur.
I forgot my name tag. Sorry.
So anyway, so that was kind of fun. And last night we did like sort of the Jiffy tour of Salt Lake City. Unfortunately, it's not all that exciting, so there wasn't so much to see.
It's not bad at night.
It's not a bad
but-
city. It's kind of fun right now. Comic-Con is going on.
Oh, that was pretty interesting.
And
Aquaman.
Yeah, we saw
Yeah.
Aquaman
Yeah,
twice.
I wish Mike and I had been a little more on the ball and tried to seek out some folks. Who
You
were in
know, I
town
didn't.
for it.
Okay, so
I knew it was coming, so it's kind of my fault.
well, I kind of knew it was coming too, and I actually had a conversation with a guy at work the other day, and he was saying that Comic-Con itself isn't trademarked. So if you wanted to go to like Boise or a smaller town and host your own Comic-Con,
Yeah, all Comic-Con is comic convention. I mean, that's
yeah, and I didn't know that. I was thinking it was all this under the same umbrella, the same group that does it, kind of thing.
yeah, and that's probably a common perception, but
But supposedly, if we wanted to, we could go and hire whoever to come to the show and be the speakers or the guests or whatever, and we could host our own Comic-Con.
yeah, we could have Podcast Con tomorrow if you want.
I'm good.
I mean, not tomorrow because I got stuff to do, but I mean, maybe next week or something. So, but anyway, yeah, no, if we'd have been thinking, there's a lot of, celebrity types in town and stuff this weekend because of Comic-Con, and so it would have been interesting to try and reach out to a few.
I mean, but we don't need John Cusack if we have Alvaro, right?
No, it's true.
If we have Chewbacca in
my shirt.
I'm sure
Mike's
that
t-shirt, yeah.
I'm sure that Alvaro is gonna report on his social media this interview, and John Cusack is not gonna give a shit about this.
No, I mean, lots of people talk to Cusack, but who talks to Alvaro?
Oh yeah,
So,
Exactly, right?
you're
so
right.
For us, this is much more important. So, but anyway, it's so it's a busy weekend, but so it was kind of fun. Was we were driving around last night, we were going through downtown, and you see all the people dressed up in costume and things. So there are all those people everywhere. They have out front of the Salt Palace. They have 3 of the big orcs from Lord of the Rings,
Oh,
but they're massive, so you can go outside and have your photo ops with them and everything. It's kind of cool.
Shout out to John Cusack
Yeah,
if he's listening.
and shout outs to the orcs.
the orc.
So
And shout out to the grandmother of these 2 guys, because actually
She
she
took
was
a good photo.
yeah, and she was the most interested in us because she was from Idaho, and we knew a lot of Idaho facts.
Oh,
Yeah, I told her, you know what I learned today? That 1/3 of the potatoes consumed in America are from Idaho. And she's like, oh, I didn't know that.
well, it doesn't surprise me at all.
yeah, no. One of the things we ought to do, I mean, if you guys are okay with it, we ought to take that picture though, and put it on the Instagram because
yeah.
deep dark in the background. I mean, these guys are visiting is the LDS temple, the Mormon temple, and deep dark in the background. If you kind of look really closely, you see Mario and a Sith because they're near the Comic-Con or whatever. But it's the craziest thing you'd ever see.
Yeah.
It's a total Easter egg.
Temple Square,
Of course, it's
Seth
because
in
of
the background.
Comic Con.
Yeah, of course. So, but
I mean-
anyway, but it's worth seeing. So maybe we can talk these guys
Maybe
into sharing
they
the
just
photo.
needed an Italian plumber, and they called Mario.
Yeah,
Mario!
No, yeah, he wasn't in costume at all. Actually, he was just there working. But anyway, so other than that, so plans for tomorrow, Alvaro. So you leave in the morning.
Yes, I leave in the morning. I take the flight to Portland. And at 5 p.m. it's a game, Portland against Orlando. So I will watch that game. I will meet with the people of the Timbers. And I will meet with the player I have there, and that's it. And then on Monday I go to visit Nike headquarters because I have a friend working there.
Nice.
And then in the afternoon I will take the train to Seattle. And it's I thought the train was going to be faster. It's like 3 hours and 45 minutes.
It's longer to take
It
the
actually takes
train
more time on the train
than it does to drive. But it's more relaxing because trying to get through, it depends actually.
Well,
if you take the train, you don't have traffic.
I don't have a car, so I have to take the train.
Well, I've made that drive many times, and getting through Tacoma and south, by the Air Force Base and stuff like that, you never know if it's going to be a smooth ride or if it's going to take 6 hours. So it's better to just take the train.
No, I just take the train. The station is close to the hotel, and then on Tuesday I will meet with the Sounders, and I will spend the rest of the day with my player. And then on Thursday morning, back to Portland. On Thursday evening, it's a Timbers 2 game against Phoenix Rising.
Nice.
And then Thursday go to Chicago. Friday morning visit the Chicago Fire, and Friday afternoon back to Spain.
Yeah, so whirlwind trip. I mean, in a week's time, you'll have visited like 4 U.S. cities. So it's like kind of a quick tour, but it's good.
Yeah, I hope next time I can visit Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas
Well,
and
that'd be
Idaho.
great. Yeah, we need it. Well, yeah, in Idaho, of course. The more important places.
Yeah.
How is Idaho trump Vegas? That just makes zero sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
we can do a small tour, Boise, Vegas.
Yep.
Yep, good plan. I like it. So, and then I guess sort of to wrap up or in closing, what do you think? So, I mean, this is your first time to Utah, Alvaro.
Yes.
I mean, any thoughts? I mean, you've had some experiences with the locals, the people. You've had,
it reminds me a lot of Indianapolis. I studied there, and the downtown, the distances, the neighborhoods. I mean, it reminds me. Maybe people from here and who know Indianapolis say that it's very different, but for me, it brought lots of memories back to when I was in Indianapolis, and I had a great experience because I had great hosts. So
yeah, we are great.
yeah.
But,
Pat ourselves on the back here.
And it's for me it was quite surprising, quite strange to know about the Utah and Salt Lake and the LDS and how everything began here. It was kind of interesting also.
Yeah, there's some interesting history, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Meeting Mark.
Yeah, and meeting Mark, the chauffeur,
Oh,
slash DJ
Yeah.
slash
Mike.
co-host. So I guess with that, is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Well, we've got a minute, or I mean, mics are already set up, all 5 of them.
Yes. Nah, I guess.
For those of you that don't get that joke, we have 4 microphones, and
And one mic.
I'm the mic.
For black
Yeah. one
microphones and white
one.
mic.
So
Gotta bring race into it.
So yeah, tomorrow I will visit. Portland, Seattle. I will be downtown, so I think that my experience I will have in those cities will be different from.
Yeah, we'll be
from
different. Well,
Utah.
actually, I'm
Well,
curious to
that's good.
see because as Alvaro had done a little bit of research before coming, and he had read that Utah is sort of a dry climate, and he came from Chicago.
He's
where it
going to
was
get
sort
to
of
be
warm.
Portland. It'll be 90 degrees.
Well, yeah, that's good. That's going to
You
be
know.
the irony, right? He's been in Utah and it's been shitty weather the whole time.
Dude,
It's dumping
I
rain
coming
today.
from Seattle, I haven't seen a rainstorm like that in a long time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And
Well,
let
'cause in
alone
Seattle-
sat out in it.
In Seattle, half the time you get that sort of like misty rain. Like
Yeah, you
it's
can walk
raining, but it's not
around.
so bad,
If no one in Seattle carries an umbrella. If you see someone carrying an umbrella, they're not from Seattle. They just walk in it. It's not a big deal. And I would have carried an umbrella in that.
Yeah, no, it was
it was
pretty
bad.
dense, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
The thing is that he has done a lot of things here, like playing Madden, watching NFL, watching college football.
Yeah, a lot of college football. I mean, because he's really only been here a few days, but I
Yeah.
mean we've watched a lot of football, and like you were talking about yesterday, we were watching football, but like in real time, and
Yeah.
so to be here for that, actually Borja had this sort of the same experience last week when it was sort of his first real week watching NFL all day, like
Right.
normal football, like normal American. And so anyway, kind of fun. So,
good times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all
it's
right.
nice to not be at like 3 a.m. trying to watch the the football on the
Yeah.
other side of the
Super
world.
Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, it was strange to me to wake up at 8 a.m. to watch Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we
watch
finished the-
soccer, dude.
Yeah, we finished the game at 10 a.m. I was like, okay, it's 10 a.m. and we have already watched the game.
Yeah, because in Spain we just for the Super Bowl, and it's like at 1 in the midnight.
So how does that work? Do you go out and just get completely shit-faced and then
Yeah.
watch the Super Bowl and go home and recover and fall asleep?
Yeah, but the thing is that it starts at 1.
Sounds
but
about like
ends at
what happens in the States.
4
So
or 5. So the best. I mean, in Spain they just like the halftime show.
So after halftime, you just call it
Yeah.
rap, and we're
Yeah,
good.
when I watch Lady Gaga, have to wait until 2:30.
No, remember the last Super Bowl was with this big comeback.
Yeah, the
Remember?
last game was crazy.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, it looked like the Pats were done, and then they came back. I don't remember how big of score they overcame.
What the
but I mean,
deficit
yeah,
was.
but it was a
Yeah,
massive
because
game.
they started losing by lots of points, but it was at the very beginning of the game, so yeah, it was lots of points, but they
I
had
was so
plenty of
excited
time.
I
too.
went to bed actually and say, this is done.
Yeah,
When I woke up and say, oh, come on.
What
I hate Tom
No,
Brady.
I remember
Who doesn't, right?
I watched it, but it's very difficult to follow American sports there because NBA you have normally it starts in Spain at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
NBA on Sundays is at 9. Is at
Yeah,
9 or 10.
9:30, but it's one game a week.
yeah.
So-
Yeah, but that's something. I mean, at least you can watch a game. But football is not like that.
Every year I meet with my friends to watch some of the games of the NBA finals, but we have to meet up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., wake up.
That's dedication right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
But at least we
It's difficult.
understand basketball and we understand football in Spain, but we don't understand baseball. Baseball is like, what is this? This is long and boring. But then I went to a game in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
It was super fun. It's better than soccer, actually. It's my favorite sport right now.
Well,
I went to watch the Yankees and the Mets 10 years ago. I remember the first time I ever went to see the Yankees. It was the game when A-Rod hit his 500 home run.
oh wow, I remember that game. Yeah.
So the game stopped and everyone started to
Cheer
to
and-
cheer,
yeah.
and
Celebrate.
he started to salute all the people.
Wow.
It was fun.
Yep.
Historical.
I saw the Cubs at Wrigley Field in Chicago, and that was a cool experience for me. Just
Mhm.
speaking of baseball, it's a good sport.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and
So-
it's fun to do that kind of thing every now and then. I'm actually not the biggest baseball fan ever. I've always enjoyed playing it, but watching it is,
Well, you play
that
softball with
much
You
your
play
wife.
softball,
Yeah.
bro.
yeah, I'm good at it too. You better watch out. But while I was working in Boston earlier this year, I went to Yankees Red Sox in Boston. I sat up on the Green Monster and everything. I mean, it was as much as you could ask for out of a professional baseball
Well,
game.
one thing I love about like
That was
Wrigley
good.
Field is those houses on the back wall are privately owned. So all the seats and everything up there, supposedly it's like,
Yeah, that happened in Spain with soccer. Sometimes
Yeah,
you
with
can,
the bleachers.
that's
and
cool.
there are some buildings and you can watch the game there. Another thing I like about baseball is there is one team called the Padres. And I like the name, and I always remind that name,
Fada.
like Padres.
yeah.
So
Actually, it's
that's my
Ryan's team.
Yeah, that's my team. So anyway, all right. Well, I guess then let's wrap this baby up. Let's go get some sleep.
sounds like a plan.
So anyway, I guess then with that, let's just drop into a couple little plugs and get out of here. For the show and for us, tune in, check out that Spotify playlist. Now that Borja's on board, maybe we need to get him contributing to the
It'll all be hip hop.
to the Spotify
I want
playlist.
some rap,
Yeah, so-
gangsta stuff.
yeah, he's pretty hardcore. So watch out. There's actually, he told me about a new Wu-Tang track. I checked that out today. It's good.
It's good.
Good to
So
know.
yeah,
The new album is gonna be
They're
crazy.
gonna have a new album coming out, but the last two tracks off it are really
Most
good.
anticipated album like this year. I
Yeah,
think.
among Wu-Tang fans, the most anticipated album of the year.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
So-
who is not a Wu-Tang fan?
Yeah, of course. I mean that to say everyone.
Yeah.
So anyway, check out our playlist. Mike's been better about adding to it than I have, but hopefully we'll all be contributing before
Yeah,
long.
it's at eggscast.com.
Yep, eggscast.com and just click Spotify playlist. You
Yep.
can find it there.
And
You can find out more about me, R2 Media Group, in Salt Lake City in Spain, and at r2mg.com, at r2mg on Twitter, or at R2 Media Group on Instagram.
you can find out about me at djontic.com. That's ONTIC. And all my links are there. And check it out.
Yep. Alvaro, any plugs, anything you want to promote? We want to
Well,
talk you first, where we can find out about that.
I mean, my Twitter is at Alvaro Navazo, Instagram, same at Alvaro Navazo.
What an original guy.
Yeah.
So
And,
he's a celebrity, you know. You got to have that branding.
Yeah.
So, but
Well,
we'll make sure to include it.
It's
in
like
the
Ryan
show notes
Rogar.
also.
There's not another one out there. Actually,
No,
there is one. There's
another one
one.
that lives right here, actually.
But I mean, like,
Live down the street
I
from
can't
me.
get at Mike Smith. That just doesn't work.
Yeah.
No, but
You know?
I remember I started using Twitter and Instagram, especially Twitter when it began in Spain, so I could get the @ and my name and my last name together.
That's awesome. Yeah,
That's great.
Couldn't do that.
So, and then the company you work for is
You
First Sports.
You First Sports. Yeah, we are in
Do they have a
with-
website or something?
with that name. Yeah, website youfirstsports.com and the Twitter and the Instagram YouFirstSports.
okay.
You
And
First Sports
it's like the
football.
letter U, though, right? You First
No,
Sports.
it's
Or
a
is it the
spell.
word you?
Yeah, it's a spell the word you. Yeah,
Okay.
YOU.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a Spanish company. It's in English. So,
Yeah,
we're
because I
confused.
mean it's.
This is global.
Yeah, the owners when they started it, they were thinking about multinational agency, not just based in Spain. And
Yeah, but
Sure.
we have to admit that everything sounds more cool in English. In Spain,
Yes.
actually,
I was
every
thinking the other
new
way
bar,
around.
every new
Yeah.
disco. If you want to be
Yeah.
trendy and cool, you have to
Yeah,
name
but
the
I
Give it an
remember
English name.
9 years ago when I started, it was sometimes difficult. You first, how you spell it? But now everyone in Spain knows you first or you first sports. We normally say
Yeah.
you first, and
cool.
that's
Well, yeah.
it.
So we'll throw links to all that stuff up on the show notes, and you can check them out. So with that, everybody have an awesome week, and we'll see you on the other side.
Hasta mañana.
Hey, bye.
Bye,
Adios.
goodbye.
No, not mañana. In a few days.
Oh, okay. Give it a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sleeping in tomorrow.
Peace.